I've had this deck for a long time. I can't even tell you. It must have been in the past like 4 years I got this deck. I got it when it first came out. And the reason why I got it when it first came out is because it's based on David Bowie. And I've always found David Bowie to be quite the cultural icon. Excuse the shaking. I'm trying to show you the whole box. It's a big box. It's a big box. And it is very colorful. Here's the back of it. Let me put it up here like Star Wars in case any of you guys want to pause and read it. It's called the Starman Tarot. I've had it for a very long time, like I just said. And recently, in one of my groups, they decided that they wanted to study the deck. And I realized when they said that, I had never reviewed this beautiful deck. It's by Los Garebo. And it's just awesome. And I want to show it to you. Even though it's an older deck, I still want to show it to you. Look at this. This is how it opens. Isn't that cool? It's like a lightning bolt. I thought that was so clever. So let's get started. My name is QueenAusetHeru, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. Also, if you like this video, please pass it on to anybody and everybody that might like it too. Please drop us a positive comment in the comment section. And if you want to get a reading done, please hit me up because I have a lot of decks and I do professional readings 3 times a week and sometimes more. So please email me or hit me up on social media. I'll be glad to give you a reading. I do different types of readings. I do general readings, love readings, past life readings, which are very popular, shadow work readings, inner child readings. I have a lot of different ones that I do. So please hit me up. Likewise, if you would like to get me a gift from my Amazon wish list, that link is underneath this video. The link to my Patreon is underneath this video. The link to my PayPal and my Cash App, in case you want to give our channel a donation, is also underneath this video. So let's get started. So like I said before, you pull this part off. Isn't that clever? And after you pull this part off, you pull this out. And it's a lot of packaging. As you can see, it's a lot of very clever packaging. I like it. Some people don't like a lot of packaging. I love it. I love the way that they did it, and I think it was very creative. Here's our book that's upside down. Let me show you this guidebook before I show you these cards. Look at this. Look at this. Somebody come look at this. Somebody come look at this. This is awesome. Isn't that awesome? Look how big it is. This sucker is massive, and when you open it up, it's full color. They went in. No expense was spared, okay? It is full color. Let me move it for a second so I can see what's in the beginning and a table of contents. Table of contents, cards, court cards, minors, all that is in there. Plus, they give us a little bit of conversation, you know, about David Bowie, which is awesome. I don't know a lot about him because I haven't read the book yet. I really do want to read this though. I've just recently started getting into, they gave us some of the history of tarot. I just started really getting into reading the guidebook for tarot. I never did that before, but now I'm learning, and it has the reverse. That when you read these, that you get a lot more information. So you can get from this to upright and the reversal. Isn't that cool? And I love this part because it's just a little blurb. If you don't want to read the whole thing, you can just read it right there and get the summary right there. Isn't that cool? So I'm loving the way that they did this guidebook. This guidebook is top tier. I don't see any spreads in here. I was expecting to see some cool David Bowie spreads in here. I don't know if I missed them because I flipped through to find them, but I don't think it's any in here. I think that would be awesome. Some David Bowie spreads. That would be awesome. All right, let me stop gushing over the guidebook and show you the cards. So this is how they come. They're inside like that. It has a ribbon, so you can pull them out. I put them back in perfect order so I can show them to you. Now, I'm going to tell you right now. Take a look at this, right? The card stock. First of all, this is the back. I don't know what this is. But again, the guidebook, I'm sure, tells us all of this. The guidebook looks very thorough. They're not very thick, but they're not overly paper thin, so they should last good. I've had them for a while, as you can see, and you can see there's a little bit of you know, the chip on the sides of them. I do not use these cards a lot. I do use them periodically, but I don't use them a lot, and there's only one reason for that, as you're getting ready to see. These cards are huge as far as length. They're much longer than the standard size tarot card. They have the right width though. The width is perfect. But when I go to shuffle them, because they're so long, I have to adjust how I shuffle. If I have to adjust how I shuffle, I'm not going to use them for readings. Because when I do readings, I got to move quick. I only got a certain amount of time, you know. My clients pay me by the minute. So if they have 30 minutes, they're trying to get in as many questions as they possibly can in 30 minutes. If I'm fumbling with the deck, because it's too long for my hand, then that makes it more difficult for me to give them a quality reading in the amount of time that they want, 60 minutes or what have you. So I use this deck for daily pulls and for when people call me for a one question reading, because I don't have to do much, you know. It's just that one question, I shuffle it and get the answer, boom. So that's what I use these for, only because of the length. If these were the same size, a little smaller, if they were the same size as a standard tarot card, this would be one of my favorite decks, and I'd probably use it every day. And you're getting ready to see why. For me, it's the colors. They've changed some of the names, so you can see down here, there is the number and there is the name. The Fool is now the Sacred Clown, and they are very glossy. Makes them difficult for like photographing and for recording, but I don't care. I love them so much. And what I love about them is the colors. This is what you're getting ready to see. These colors and the way that they got the fire and the electricity, these are very Aquarius to me. Very much so. Very much the Aquarius aesthetic. And you guys know I'm an Aquarius moon and an Aquarius rising, and I got other placements in Aquarius. So I'm very Aquarius. And that's what this energy reminds me of. I don't know what David's sign was, or, you know, any of his signs, his sun, his rising, any of that. But it had to have been some Aquarian energy in there somewhere, man. Now, this is the Magician. The Magician has been renamed the Starman. The High Priestess remains the High Priestess. And again, as you can see, the beauty of the colors, the light. Look at that light. Like this, I don't know how they even did that in this deck. You know, I'm just like, wow. So, yeah, I'm just enthralled with them. I would like to see them do a second edition of these and put them into the standard size. Now, I understand they might not have done that because of the artwork. Artwork like this has to be shown. So maybe they wanted it to really be seen, you know? So that could be why, and I get it. But I would love to see them do this in the same size of a standard tarot deck, the standard size. That would be awesome, because then I could use it for every day, you know, for everyday readings. I love the fact that it's not just David Bowie in the deck. They used a lot of different types of people, and so it's a lot of diversity going on with the types of people. But David is in more than one card. I know he's in, we just saw him in the Magician, and I think he's in other cards too. But look at that sky. I mean, like, they just, man, when I sat there looking at this deck, I was just like blown away. So one of the groups that I'm in, they are studying, it's called, what is that group called? Abundant Life Tarot. That's the name of the group. And the group is currently studying this deck. And that's what made me pull it out, because they were doing the Lover's card. I had missed all the other cards. So I was like, oh, let me look at the Lover's card. And I love this card. But see, look at this. In the corner, you see the apple. So that gives us the Adam and Eve reference, right? The Lover's card often has an Adam and Eve reference. But this card is, all these cards are so modern and so reimagined and so colorful and so funky with it. I'm just loving it. It's bohemian in the energy. And you still have the nod to the traditional Rider-Waite, but you have so much more going on. I love this couple because I can't tell what they are. This kind of looks like a guy, but then he has long hair and a really pretty face. And I love the fact that I can't really tell. It's just like, okay. It's just human beings enjoying love. Love that. So as we continue to go through, you'll see what I'm talking about. The magnificence just continues. Look at the sword in his hand. Like, and there's so much to jump off from this, because if you know what the card means, you already know the traditional meaning. But as you look at it, there's other things that your intuition, if you're a strong intuitive reader, you're going to see a lot of things here that your intuition is going to jump off of. Colors, images, things your eyes are going to make with different things in the background. You know, it's really cool. So I am definitely going to spend more time with the guidebook, because I really want to know more about David and more about this project. And so right now we're looking at each card. We're just looking at what's in the card. We're talking about the cards and the choices that they've made. And I imagine if I take my time and read the guidebook, I'll learn a lot more about those choices and a lot more about this deck. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? Look at those colors, and look at like how it goes up. It kind of reminds me of a totem pole, but then they go across too, like real, just like trippy. This reminds me of an acid trip. It has that trippy like look to it, right? So as you can see, I really do love this deck. That's my only issue, is the size of it. That's why I said I wish they would re-release it in that other size, because I would buy it again. I would definitely buy it again for everyday use. I love this. As soon as it came out, I only looked at like 2 or 3 of the cards and I bought it immediately. And that's not like me. Usually I'm the kind of person who has to look at every single card before I spend my money, because I have bought a lot of decks over the years that had 1 or 2 awesome cards, and then I get the deck and the rest of the deck is meh at best, you know. Or I get a deck and I'm like, ooh, it has diversity. There's 3 or 4 people here that look like me. And then I get the deck and those are the only 3 or 4 people that are in the deck. You know? So at this point in time, I have to see every card before I give a creator my money. Nobody else is going to trick me with the okie doke. Look at that. I'm like, how did y'all get these vivid, beautiful neon colors? It's just amazing to me. Now, somebody who is new to tarot may struggle with this deck, because if you know what the cards mean, like this is the devil. I know what the devil is. The devil is bondage. The devil can be shadow. The devil can be pessimism. The devil can be a lot of things along those lines. Looking at yourself. It could be darkness inside of yourself. It could be a lot of things. The shadow work comes up with this a lot. But my thing is that if you know that, it's easy to use the deck. But if you're a beginner and you're new to tarot and you're looking at this card, people have been telling me that it just intimidates them. A lot of people say, like, I don't know what the hell this is. You know, they're looking for all of the traditional images and symbolisms, and some of them are there. But it's so much more going on that a lot of people tell me they have difficulty if they're a beginner. A seasoned reader, I think, really can look at this. Like, I can look at this with no problem at all. It's like, yeah, boom, boom, bam. This is the tower. This is the lightning coming down. You know, it's basically, it's like the tower on the tower on acid, basically, is what this looks like to me. So those of us that know how to read already, no problem. Those of us who read intuitively can probably get some fire readings from looking at this. Beginners, I think it could be a challenge, but challenges are good, especially with tarot. After you have everything down pat, I suggest challenging yourself. This is the star. The star is the Aquarius card. This card looks very Aquarius, if you ask me. Love the star on top of her head. Beautiful scenery. She's in the water. The only thing she's not doing is holding on to the Aquarius water vessel. I don't see it, but she's standing in the water, so it would have been cool if they put a vessel like right to the side of her, like right there. But I get the point. I know that's I know the star. That's my star. And as you can see, they haven't changed all of the names. They only changed a few of the names. So they're very familiar in that way. Here's the Sun card. So again, wow. That looks like a Kundalini rising to me. I wonder if that's what they're supposed to depict. It doesn't have the serpent, but that's what it looks like to me. Like going into your higher self. So, as I said before, as you can see, these are beautiful. Okay, got us a nice thick brother. See, he's a big daddy. So they got these different sizes, and I'm feeling that. I have not seen a crone yet. I don't know if they have older people in this deck, but I have seen gender diversity, racial diversity, all kinds of alternative sexuality, it looks like to me. You really can't tell. That's what I love. I love when you can't tell. It's just like you can see yourself in it. Awesome. And that was the world. Now we're going to look at the wands. You guys know I love the wands. The wands are fiery. That's beautiful. And the thing I like about this deck the most is every card is a hit for me. There is not one card in here I don't like. As I was putting them in order, I was looking to see like which cards were my favorites. And there isn't a card in here that I would be like, nah, I don't like that card. I would take it out. I like all of them. They're all different as far as like, you know, the color schemes and what you see in them. But I just think they're so imaginative, so creative. And that's how David Bowie was. I'm not a huge David Bowie fan, but we all knew who David Bowie was. If you grew up in the 80s, you could not know who he was. He was in that movie. It was some kind of movie with puppets. I think it was by Jim Henson. He was just very popular. He married a very popular supermodel that everybody knew, you know. And he did pass over a couple of years ago. So, like, he was somebody that you couldn't get through the 80s without knowing who David Bowie was. So, I don't know a lot about him, but he was very extravagant. He kind of put you in the mind of Prince. Those of you who know who Prince is. It was like he had this kind of, like, style to him. He wore makeup, but it was outrageous. Like he would put a star over his eye, or you know, and outrageous hair colors and outrageous clothes and things like that. He really expressed himself. He really pushed his creativity, and he was himself. And at that time, a lot of people were afraid to be themselves, you know, and he was not like that. And I think it encouraged a lot of other people. It kind of puts you in the mind of Elton John. You know, how he pushed the envelope with his colors and his style, his energy. And that's kind of how David Bowie was. And he's just an icon. He has a lot of people. And that's why I wasn't surprised when this deck came out. Because I was like, I'm sure a lot of people love David. I am very sure. I don't know, you know, anything about him personally, his politics, any of that kind of stuff. I just, you know, saw him as I was growing up in the 80s. And that type of music, I would say he did, I don't know if it was pop or rock. It was that kind of vibration. And it was popular during that time. That music was very, very popular. The 80s had the best music, if you ask me. The 80s and 90s are my favorite genres of music. Oh, look at her. Cool. It's the colors for me. Oh my God. I just love it. Let's look at our Prince. Okay, and see, our Prince of Wands might be a woman. I can't tell again. So I like that, because when you're doing the court cards, especially, the court cards, even if it says Prince or Princess, Queen or King, can be male or female. I always get the Knight of Cups. The Knight of Cups is one of my birth cards. And I'm clearly a woman. You know? A lot of times I get the King of Swords too. So yeah, it doesn't matter what your gender is. It's more the attributes really that are associated with the card. So I like that when you come across cards that you're not really sure. Now this one is masculine, but then there's a feminine face right over to the side of them. So interesting things like that. It's like, what does that mean to you when you are intuiting something? Maybe that's his queen. I don't know. Could be the face of the divine, you know, whispering in his ear, you know. That's why I said these cards give you so much to come off of. It's like you have a lot of the traditional energy, especially in the major arcana. But as you get into these minors, you're seeing, like, this is the Two of Swords. And it's usually a duality focus with this. And we see her split. We see the duality, you know. So you seeing in these cards the energy of the Rider-Waite-Smith, but it has gone so rogue. I'm just in love. I love how rogue this deck went. It's just doing its own thing. It's like, okay, yeah, we're going to give a nod to the Rider-Waite-Smith for those of you who are using it. But then at the same time, we're going to do our own thing. Pink to me represents emotional healing. Love that. There's a pharaoh in the background. Never even noticed that. So I'm just like, this is cool. Now, this looks like David. Is that David? Yeah, it looks like David. So like I said, he's in several of the cards themselves. And this is cool because the Four of Swords is about surrender. It's like it's a card of a temporary retreat. So going into meditation is definitely a temporary retreat. But it doesn't look like the traditional temporary retreat that we're used to in a Rider-Waite. I love a deck that goes rogue. I've been saying that for years. I love that. I love decks that aren't afraid to do their own thing, because so many creators play it safe. A lot of creators play it safe because they're afraid that nobody's going to buy the deck. If I go too rogue, will people not buy it? And you do run that risk because you do have a lot of traditionalists. I'm very surprised at how many traditional people are into tarot. I thought tarot was something that, you know, only weirdos like me was into, because there are a lot of Aquarius that read tarot. But I've come to find a lot of traditionalists in tarot, and some of them will not appreciate a deck that deviates too far away from the Rider-Waite-Smith standard or the Toth standard. Some people will, you know, or the Marseille. Like, they'll put up with, you know, one of those, but they won't go too far from it. And I, as a collector and as a reader, I want more. I want more of a challenge. I like stuff like this. I want creators to go rogue. I want them to show us new stuff. You know, I want it to be tarot, obviously, because that's the system that I love, but I want people to get creative with that. And this deck definitely goes there. That guy, doesn't he look like the Crow? Remember the Crow? That's what this reminds me of. The Crow. It's a movie called The Crow, and the gentleman was, what is his name? Brandon Lee, Bruce Lee's son. He died in the movie. He died making the movie. And that card reminds me very much of him. I wonder if it's inspired by that movie. Beautiful. So as you can see, as I'm going through these are gorgeous. Okay, the cups. I got excited. The cups. Yes, the cups. Look at that. The cups is my favorite suit most of the time. Sometimes the wands take my attention, but in most cases, isn't that beautiful? That's a Two of Cups. The love between them. Oh, beautiful. In most cases, the cups is my favorite suit. So when I look at a deck, the cups has to grab me. That's beautiful. The cups has to grab me. The star has to grab me. The temperance card has to grab me. The high priestess has to grab me. There's certain cards. Every collector looks for certain cards that are our favorites, you know, and you gotta do those cards right. And certain ones, like myself, have a certain suit that you love, 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 like I said, and you gotta do that right. And this deck definitely did those right. This is very creative. I love that. For Six of Cups is about nostalgia, so I'm imagining like family pictures, you know, on a wall in the dining room or something. So yeah, I love this deck. I give this deck a 9 out of 10 because I love it. I love everything about it. The only thing, like I said, is the length of it. If the length was a standard length, this deck would probably be my favorite deck in my collection. Seriously. Because it checks all my buttons and it's a fun deck. That's another thing about David's energy, and I feel David's energy in this. David had a fun energy. Whenever you saw him on television or, you know, interviews, things like that. He always had a fun energy. Concerts, he had a fun vibration to him. Now I don't know what he was like in real life, but he seemed like one hell of a good time. He's the kind of person that I would invite to my party. You know, because I'll be thinking that, you know, he might be the life of the party. He might set the party off or make it that much more fun. So yeah, the cups definitely have succeeded. I love it. The last, I think last is Pentacles. Okay, let's look at our Pentacles. Pentacles is earth energy. So I'm expecting to see a lot of earthiness so we can see it with our roots. Oh, look at that. Like that. Two of Pentacles is about juggling more than one thing. So I like how he's trying to balance himself on his feet. I don't know what this is, but remember the kids were riding around on something that looked like that for a while. I don't know what it was called, but they were riding around on them for a while. So that's what this reminds me of, that juggling. And then you still see the Pentacles. So every card, you still have the traditional Pentacles, the swords, the cups, the wands. You saw them, they were there, but there was just a lot more there too. Four of Pentacles, awesome. Let's look at our five. Five of Pentacles is a card about being impoverished. Yeah, they definitely look like they're in the gutter, like literally homeless, poor things. And that's usually what's depicted by the Five of Pentacles, either depression or sometimes material problems, being broke, being homeless, loss of job, unemployment, all that kind of stuff, getting laid off. Wow. Awesome. Yeah, this deck is definitely worth studying and it's definitely worth purchasing. And as I'm looking through it, you can see around the edges, it's just a little chip on certain ones. You can tell from me trying to shuffle it, but that's it. These have lasted a long time in really good condition. That's beautiful too. Look at the people sitting on the pentacle. Clever. Is beautiful, is interesting, is clever, is different. It takes chances. It gives nods to history and to tradition. It is awesome. So any of you who've been on the fence about getting this particular deck, this is my honest to God feelings about it. So if you're somebody who is not going to mind the shuffling issue that I mentioned before, well, that's the King of Pentacles. He was supposed to be after the Queen. I guess our Queen snuck in there. Here she is. So if you're somebody who doesn't mind that, or you know, you can get around the shuffling thing I was talking about, this deck is 100% worth every penny that I paid for it. Like I said, I would buy it twice. I'm hoping I can buy it twice. I'm really hoping that they come out with a smaller version. Now, I haven't heard anybody talking about it or anything like that, but it would make me ecstatic. So again, if you like this deck, I'm going to put a link underneath this video where you can purchase a legitimate copy. I'm sure I have an Amazon affiliate link. I'm an Amazon affiliate. And like I said before, the Abundant Life Tarot group is currently studying it. So if you would like to get in on the studying, I think we're up to the Chariot. So you haven't missed much. And she posts in the group. She does a little video with it and talks about it. So if you want to join in, please come over to that group. It's on Facebook. And we do a lot of fun things. We've done the Gaian Tarot. I think she might still be working with that one. We also did the Herb Crafters Tarot. So it's awesome. All right, guys, you come back soon because I got so much more to say. See you later.